Army of Darkness is a 1992 film directed by Sam Raimi, who might be better known to modern fans from the Spider-Man, the classic Sony Spider-Man series trilogy,
the good ones and the bad ones,
the Tobey Maguire ones. Is written by his brother Ivan, and it stars the legendary schlocky horror comedy leading man Bruce Campbell. Jim, what do you think of this movie?
I think that Army of Darkness is a fun, silly movie that if you try and take it too seriously, as we're wont to do here in Super Serious Film Fest, it totally doesn't hold up. But it's got this weird way of bouncing between very serious and ultra comedy, like slapstick and just like some pretty lowbrow stuff that I really appreciate about Sam Raimi's directorial and his writing.
So this is the follow-up, the cinematic conclusion of the Evil Dead trilogy, which includes Evil Dead 1 and Evil Dead 2, which I've seen Evil Dead once. I think I've seen it once. I think I've seen Evil Dead 2 twice. If I recall correctly, Evil Dead 2 is essentially a reimagining of Evil Dead 1.
Yes, mostly.
Is actually supposed to be some kind of
strange
sequential event where Evil Dead 1 is its own thing and Evil Dead 2 is its own thing?
It's always been a weird mix. I've never quite understood where Evil Dead 1 and 2 stand in relation to each other.
Right.
But yes, I think it's mostly a remake. And this actually gives you all of Evil Dead 2's plot up at the front of the
Essentially.
film. Yeah, everything with the portal and his hand
Right.
and chopping it off, that all happened in Evil Dead 2.
Right. And Evil Dead 1 was a serious and attempting to be frightening low budget horror film. Evil Dead 2 has his tongue firmly planted in its cheek, and Army of Darkness continues that trend. I think this movie's great too. It's a lot of fun to watch if you're a young person that doesn't have a lot of experience with other films. I gotta say, watching it now after I'm not in high school, it's pretty broad. Some of its humor,
for sure.
I think some of its humor could be ratcheted down a little. It's not just broad, it's like almost too broad for like a rated R movie. I mean, the person that goes to see like a Fangoria schlock fest, do they want to see like a Three Stooges routine with skeleton hands?
That's a fair question. And I think there is an audience out there. I mean, this is a cult classic at this point.
Right.
The people who love this movie really love this movie, and I kind of consider myself one of them.
Right.
I think I got an interesting new perspective on it as a 37-year-old man watching it more recently, because it's been probably 10 years since I've seen this movie.
Same, yeah.
But I've seen it 10 times, you know?
Oh, yeah, at least. Yeah, I've seen this over a dozen times at least.
Right, and I think like it doesn't hold up for what I'm looking for out of a film anymore, but I have such fond memories of it that I'll always love it.
Yeah. I would just wonder like what Sam, because like it seemed like Sam Raimi, when I was reading the background on this film, just wanted to throw everything like the kitchen sink into this. He wanted to go like with all these his pastiches, and he wanted to get like, it's personally amusing to him to do the Three Stooges and to do the Gulliver's Travels routine and to do this wild kind of slapstick zany stuff and have it in the middle of a movie that has, I mean, this movie stars Bruce Campbell, but also stars about 7 million pounds of latex and about 40 million gallons of fake blood. And
about 6 million Spirit Halloween skeletons.
Sure. Yeah. The stuff that you get for $4.99 at Hobby Lobby and stake out in your front yard. And
it's made of foam. October. It's going to disintegrate in the rain. You pray that it makes it through Halloween.
Sure. But it's like a lot of this movie works as almost like a Danger 5 level parody. Like this feels like it's making fun of a spaghetti type of medieval film that never, I think, actually existed. But it feels like it's like almost like a self-parody of itself, because, and a lot of the stuff works, like, I think the physicality of Bruce Campbell's performance, that he is like, in the same way the Archer from the television series Archer is both a giant jackass and a buffoon, but also just lethally competent at his job.
Yeah.
Like,
which is dispatching deadites. Yeah.
And that's the fun thing about that this guy is such a schlub in every aspect of his life, other than when you've got a chainsaw in his hand and a shotgun in the other. He is just kryptonite to fucking demons or deadites or whatever they're called. But a lot, like, so all that stuff works. The one-liners, the hail to the king, the first you want to kill me, now you want to kiss me, blow. All that stuff,
which might be the best line in the whole movie.
All that stuff that really works. The king, the Yankee, Connecticut, and King's Arthur stuff, where he's like inventing medieval siege weaponry out of his, shitty car and inventing a robot hand for himself. All that stuff really works. But man, I tell you what, I groan every single time that windmill scene starts up and the little mini
Bulls.
Yeah, the
Three Stooges.
The Three Stooges scene in the graveyard. All that stuff is just really fingernails on chalk for me right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. The things that I loved about Evil Dead was the blend of horror and comedy, like the blood geyser. I mean, he carries a lot of stuff over, and I think tellingly this is written by not just so I think in past Evil Dead movies, Sam Raimi worked with a guy named Steven something. I can't think of his name, but he had a writing partner. Was unavailable for this movie. He was busy, and so he brought in his brother.
So Ivan is not as good at shutting down crazy ideas as...
Or maybe, their brothers. Like, me and my brother get crazy with our ideas sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's like, you just sort of run with it in a way that maybe with someone you're a little less close to, you don't. And I think maybe that got a little out of hand in Army of Darkness, because the stuff that I love about Evil Dead 2 is that blending of real, actual horror. Like, I'm fucking scared of this terrifying demon thing, and then a blood geyser shoots out of the wall and soaks Ash, and
or Peter Jackson's really good with his Dead. What was that? Dead Before Dawn or Dead Alive?
Brain Dead, Dead Alive, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Like there's definitely room for comedy in horror.
Oh yeah.
The discovering that a blood-soaked floor is actually quite slippery. That's
especially when you're carrying a lawnmower.
That's some solid gore horror
for sure.
Comedy. The three, like, the thing is I love the fucking Three Stooges. I think like sitting down and watching a 15-minute Three Stooges short is a great time. Randomly shoved in like a Star Trek The Next Generation episode or the Terminator movie, I don't know about that. Yeah,
and this movie is very simple. I mean, there's essentially a MacGuffin, which is the Necronomicon. All he wants to do is get the book and get back to his time.
Like in the deal.
They're like in the deal, and he being the man that he is, completely oblivious to half the shit that's going on around him.
Right.
Narcissistic, self-interested. He fucks it up.
Yeah.
And then he's got to try and repair the damage he's done.
Right.
As he sort of falls in love with this townswoman.
Right.
But that's it. That's it. That's a whole movie, right?
Yep.
There's nothing else to it.
They make a meal. Each act of this makes a meal out of an action set piece. The Deadite pit, the graveyard. Well, I guess it's like, maybe they should have kept either the graveyard or the windmill, but not both. But those are two. And then the final 30 minutes of just one crazy ass Battle of the Dead,
which I think is
this
the best.
fake ass castle set. Yeah, of course.
I love the last act of this movie.
The first act and the last act are clearly the best. The transitional, look, I think it's funny that Ash goes to recite these words at the cemetery, and he's so fucking dismissive. And also, to be fair, a lot of shit's happened since he was dismissive of the old man and his old words, and he forgets it. And I even like kind of him fighting with the books. Some of that stuff really works, but yeah, the last third of the movie, pretty entertaining.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that army attack, I can't even imagine how much fun it must have been to be on that set.
Yeah, and
just
it's
blowing up skeletons,
right,
with fire bombs, and like, oh man.
And it's on the sweet side of the uncanny valley, where like that these are fake skeletons, but there's just so many of them. And they're doing all these crazy things. But there's a lot of like what goes wrong with George Lucas's attempts at humor. Like, I didn't need the skeletons with outrageous accents pulling each other out of the ground and saying making jokes about their non-existent penises. And to me, none of that stuff made me laugh. It just reduced the tension that otherwise would existed that could have been exploited for humor later on.
And I think that's the difference between Army of Darkness as the climax of this trilogy and like the first two movies is there was always a seriousness about the evil. And yes, they were occasionally like silly things were happening to the evil entities, but I felt like they were inherently more serious. Like the demon that's chained up in the basement is definitely scarier than, you know, the evil Ash in this, right? And the demon isn't cracking jokes. That demon might be the butt of jokes occasionally,
right?
But the entity is very serious and wants to kill you.
Yeah.
And I think somewhere along the line, and it's marked here in Army of Darkness, the whole vibe of the evil has changed from one of, you know, pure evil to a sort of playful evil.
Right.
And I guess I don't like that quite as much, although they take it as far as they can and they do as much with it as they can, and mostly it works.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like the Deadites they can, you know, Ash can dispatch them in ways that disrespect them, but they can't disrespect themselves.
Yeah.
And in this film, there's just, they're all like, well, I think the big problem is making the villain essentially the evil Ash. Because Ash is a fucking buffoon.
Silly, yeah.
And he infuses his entire army with those, which again, narratively makes sense, but it's not, I think, this movie is going to live and die by its rule of cool. Yeah. And time after time, they betray that and do things that are decidedly uncool. But it's weird because I feel like if you sit down your average nerd that is our age, or your average Gen X nerd, they will want to fight you about that. And they'll be like, no, it's actually a subversion of this, that, and the other, and it's paying tribute to the great. I don't give a shit about all that. Like, is it?
But they're not wrong either. Like, that's the thing.
It's
in
not
1992.
Wrong.
This is probably a lot more fresh.
Well, that's the other thing.
You know, we're 25 years on, 27 years on now from this film. So
yeah, I just think of like, because then it's also like I just I said Danger 5 because Cecily and I just got done rewatching that entire series, and it's such a great job of parodying a very peculiar type of thing. These kind of Italian and Spanish spy movies that just you know are way, and they don't give a shit about, you know, if something's supposed to be 1945 using 1970s clothing and sports car, like it's very, and that's feels like what Army of Darkness is. It's just that, yes, like that satire and that blending of one to the other. Like I guess it's victim of it. It kind of blazed a trail for something, but it was the first of its, so it's been outclassed. You know?
Yeah, I mean, Sam Raimi...
It's the Betamax of action movie exploitation parodies.
For sure. And I think, look, Sam Raimi, like, Nick Taro was involved in the effects work in this movie. And I think the studio that Nick Taro was with, which is a bunch of different names, but Nick Taro is the most high profile, actually is responsible for the vast majority of the effects. Yeah. With, like, all the skeletons and stuff. And it evokes sort of a Ray Harryhausen kind of timelessness to it, I think. Like, yes, it's cheesy, but the way that they blend like live action and stop motion and puppetry and probably some animatronics, it all works for me. But Sam Raimi like pioneers a lot of that stuff. You look at a lot of the camera moves that he's doing, right? And the stuff as a director that you can see embedded into like Edgar Wright's work. Yeah. Like there's this montage where I think maybe Commando actually did it a little bit better, but there's this montage of him creating the hand. And they're doing all these zoom pulls.
Oh my god!
But it's kind of like their only move.
I think the cameraman pulled his muscle. He did some of these right. Like it's just,
which is why I say Commando probably did it better. I look at that and I go, okay, well, I can see the DNA of a lot of Edgar Wright's work. I can see the DNA of even stuff from like Breaking Bad with like fireball catapult cam, right? Or like pole arm cam. And you think to like, oh, Tucker's shovel cam in Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
So much of that stuff here is Sam Raimi's sort of creation.
Totally.
And
like,
he has such a style. Like, it is immediately recognizable as Sam Raimi
and it's
when you see his work.
And it's a style that works in the schlocky shit, but he uses the exact same style with better cameras in Spider-Man, in A Simple Plan, in Darkman, in regardless of whether it's a big budget blockbuster or it's this shitty thing that he shot for $30,000 out in the woods one weekend with his family. I mean, he has those moves. And
it creates, in my mind, just sort of the atmosphere of a Sam Raimi film. Like, I absolutely love what he does with characters moving toward the camera or moving the camera toward characters, right? Like, there's this shot pretty near the beginning of the film where Ash is fighting the witch in the pit. And it's just like really visually affecting.
Yeah.
It works for me on some like primal level where I'm going like, oh, that must have really hurt because look how close to the camera he is.
Yeah.
So Sam Raimi has like pioneered so many different methods in just camera work and cinematography, and they're still used today.
I also feel like this film had an outsized influence in like gamer culture because like this essentially is exactly half of the DNA of Duke Nukem. Like literally, it just rips off like all of Duke's dialogue is essentially shit that Bruce Campbell has said in the Evil Dead series.
Hail to the king, baby.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I wonder, I kind of wonder how entwined those things are because like all of the first-person shooters of the day, I'm thinking of the fucking Dark Triad. I think it's a Dark Triad. There was Quake, the big ones like Doom, Quake, Wolfenstein, Duke Nukem were essentially id Software and who made Duke Nukem? Was that Apogee?
I couldn't tell you.
Epic? Was that what eventually became Epic?
Right.
Those guys all worship this fucking film. You could tell, like they put so many damn references to it, and it was like this kind of like vaguely demonic, tongue in cheek. It's very like blood splattered everywhere, but still some sense of humor is like in that early 90s, late 90s video game culture DNA. And I almost wonder how much of its cult reputation is because that culture embraced it, which was very also like all that cult, like video game, like I know video games have become bigger, like they're bigger than Hollywood now, but back in the day, video game culture was essentially science fiction, fantasy nerd culture, was essentially heavy metal culture, was essentially horror movie culture, like all that shit, all that weird D&D, all that weird shit was fused together. And I feel like had it not been picked up by that thing, it wouldn't be the cult movie it is today because you had to have a bunch of sweaty nerds in high school insisting that their buddies see this. And also, there's like 11 different versions of this film.
I knew of two.
The one that
the ending change
personally own is called the bootleg version, which is done up like it's in a paper bag. And it's like got not handwritten, obviously, made to look like a handwritten label by Bruce Campbell, where it's just got like the name written in Sharpie. And there's like I think 3 different endings and a bunch of different, like some sequences are shorter, longer. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. It's worse than Blade Runner how many versions of this thing has. But like
for sure,
it felt like every 2.5 to 3 years there'd be another version of this that you could buy that has more exclusive features, or oh, this one's got both Sam and Bruce as a commentary track, and which ending does it have? And it's this runtime 5 minutes long, and it makes it. I felt like that also kept it alive because also it was in the transition era between VHS and DVD. So it's like, oh, if you had it on this, then you want to buy it now, and it just kept it alive. And it has his outside. It's kind of like Rocky Horror. If that no one would remember Rocky Horror if a bunch of weirdos didn't think it'd be fun to do midnight showings where you synchronized throwing rice and doing dances and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like it needed this other culture to just pick it up and dust it off and say, I'm going to keep this relevant, come hell or high water.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So speaking of, how this movie kind of is a product of its times and maybe the comedy hasn't aged perfectly. I think when they did Ash versus Evil Dead, they actually were really good at updating. It's tough to update this show for a modern audience,
Right.
because Ash is a fundamentally narcissistic, sexist, chauvinist asshole. And that doesn't play well nowadays.
Right.
And for good reason.
Right.
However, I think Ash vs. Evil Dead does a pretty good job of updating the comedy portion of the show.
You probably just take it. You just probably piss on Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, a lot more than Army of Darkness does, certainly.
Yeah.
And they do some of that, but I still feel like it's a little tone deaf.
Plus, Bruce being an older man, like
Right.
more bloated, he's got a weight like that. It's like
It's easy to lean into.
yeah.
that.
You just keep taking that as character a peg and making sure that he's not the smartest guy in the room. And
But they have kept the vibe of Army of Darkness while also updating the comedy. It's not just slapstick. There's still a lot of quips. There's a lot of good stuff in there.
a lot
Season
of
2
ass-kicking.
has maybe one of the funniest slapstick scenes I've ever seen. It's disturbing, it's dark, and it's slapstick and hilarious in a morgue. People know what I'm talking about. But Ash vs. the Evil Dead is a pretty good update of Army of Darkness.
yeah, so I want to ask a question while we're on this subject.
Okay.
Why didn't Bruce Campbell become a bigger star? Is it just
Dude,
that this
I
shit,
don't know.
this shit, the Sam Raimi shit, like held him back, and that people thought like, that's the guy who showed up for $50 one weekend, and some craft services to film the stupid horror film, like because he's conventionally good looking. I think he's got good comic timing.
Yes.
He's got enough dramatic chops to carry the dramatic scenes. He's physically imposing. He's 6'1", which always helps in Hollywood. Got a full head of hair. But like it's almost like he decided almost in a like to just I'm going to be a ham, and that's what I'm going to be. And he like the guy's probably made a decent amount of money in his life because like he is what he makes up for quality, he makes up for in quantity.
Yeah.
Because he just has like so many fucking movie credits, and a lot of them credited just as like himself in cameos. Because if you want to get the Fangoria nerds hot and bothered about something in the 21st century, throw old man Bruce Campbell in it, winking and leering at the audience, and you'll get a couple of tens of thousands of butts and seats for sure.
It's funny you mentioned Fangoria. I actually noticed there's a Fangoria magazine in the trunk of his car
Right.
at one point. But yeah, you're right. I mean, Bruce Campbell had all of the qualities to be a Harrison Ford level leading star,
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
And he, for whatever reason, I don't know if it was lack of opportunity or perceived, silliness, like maybe he played that character too well. I don't know what it is about Bruce Campbell. Maybe he chose, I just want to have this kind of life. I don't want to be a megastar. I want to go to conventions where people recognize me, but walking down the street, I don't want to be hassled.
Have you read any of his autobiographies?
I haven't, no.
There's like one that's like, I think it's Hail to the King, Confession, or no, If Chins Could Kill, Confessions of a B-Movie Actor, which I've read. I did not know that he came out with a follow-up when did this thing get released? Or maybe so this came out in 2017, Hail to the Chin, Further Confessions of a B-Movie Actor. I kind of want to read that, but like I don't know. It does seems like that's kind of he definitely tried to have a conventional career. It's not like because before I read the book, I'm like, well, maybe he just is fucking around. But like he did choose projects that he thought would like kind of maximize. I think the one the one he really was thinking that would be his meal ticket was the Adventures of Briscoe County Jr., where he played like this, he had this like several seasons of network television. It's kind of in his wheelhouse as his weird Western stuff. And, but it only made it 2 seasons and didn't really, it's another one that's like, he stars in a lot of shit that's cult classic. Cause it's kind of, I imagine it's a lot like, the dude from Firefly.
Nathan Fillion.
How everyone loves Firefly so fucking much, and Nathan Fillion's actually pretty good, that whatever Nathan Fillion's in, that fan base will prop up and love because you're getting more Nathan Fillion. But Nathan Fillion like doesn't translate into, I guess, other roles. Like he doesn't just disappear into roles, right?
No, I mean, yeah, he turns the role into Nathan Fillion more than anything.
He doesn't have whatever that it is to boost into superstardom.
Yeah, I don't know. It's unfortunate, I think, because I like Bruce Campbell a lot. I think there was a huge opportunity for some really good films with Bruce Campbell to be made that just never got made.
Everyone that's a fan of this movie has seen all the commentary and heard all the commentary tracks, but like the one thing that I enjoy about this Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell's relationship is like the maniacal need to torture Bruce. Like it feels like that Sam goes out of his way to fuck with this guy, make sure he's cold, he's uncomfortable, he's in pain. There's a lot of shit that happens to Bruce, and a lot of times off camera, Sam is the one making it happen. If he's getting dirt thrown in his face, it's Sam. If he's getting kicked in the crotch, guess whose boot it is? It's Sam.
If he's just getting relegated to B movie status, it's Sam.
I wonder. You know, like what, like he could have cast Bruce Campbell as Tobey Maguire's uncle.
Just saying.
Yeah, but he didn't. He left him to be the campy wrestling announcer guy in Spider-Man. So you gotta wonder. What I don't understand is, like, it'd be one thing if like Sam Raimi had made him like fantastically wealthy and rich. But what the fuck? Why does Bruce put up with that shit? And I guess it's like there's some stuff from like the Spider-Man stories where like he did some shit. He did some petty shit to him for that. Like what?
I don't know. I guess that's just the relationship they have.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild because it's like a Stanley, like you'd expect him to come out of like Evil Dead, like with the Stanley Kubrick story of like, this guy's maniacal, I never want to work with him again, blah blah blah. But yeah, I don't know. Like when I read some of the stuff, like the throwing clods of dirt in the guy's face, I feel sorry for him.
Yeah, it sounds like maybe the relationship never crossed a line. You know, it was always in good fun and it stayed that way.
Or maybe like the other thing is maybe Bruce gets Sam in like really horrifying ways that no one talks about. Or the other thing is it could be these guys just kind of exaggerating bullshit their working relationship because they know it makes people laugh.
Yeah.
I never know with Hollywood shit how much is the real deal and how much is just put on.
The one thing I do know about the Hollywood shit in this movie is apparently, so you were surprised when we did a live watch at the ending of this film. Mm-hmm. We were definitely watching the theatrical cut because Universal, when they saw Sam Raimi's original version, said that is way too negative. And it involved essentially the world having been irrevocably altered by
this is my canonical version of the movie.
Right.
That Bruce he miscounted. Is a classic Ash move. He miscounted how many potions he's supposed to take. He took too many. He slept through his time and wakes up in some kind of post-apocalyptic wasteland.
Oh God! No! I slept too long.
Which would actually be a fucking badass setting for Evil Dead 4. But I'm like, the movie studio says that, but like, did you not see the rest of the movie? The rest of the movie is this man making one mistake that puts him further away from getting home after another and fucks the world over in the process.
I mean, this is, if nothing else, the sequel opportunity. Like, this is the lead in to Ash, Ash in the future, right? Yeah. Like, I don't know what their problem with negative endings, because we have a lot of movies with negative endings.
Right.
I guess maybe they looked at it and said, look, the rest of this is slapstick. It's meant to be candy and just fun, and you're fucking it up with the ending.
It didn't feel like but it didn't feel like a serious like ending. It felt like a parody of like Charlton Heston, finding the damn you. It didn't like. Yeah, that's a downer ending for Planet of the Apes, but if you are kind of like making fun of it in a broad parody of genre conventions, like it's, I don't know. Because also this came after a year of them and the producer fighting and like keeping this movie essentially hostage over rights to Hannibal Lecter character.
Yeah, it got tied up in some weird package deal with Universal.
Right.
Which is strange because that's the only reason it really got even made, for the amount of money that they needed. But also it kept them in this weird development hell based on nothing other than the rights to some other property that this Dino De Laurentiis, I think, owned. It was Yeah, it's fucking weird.
Dino De Laurentiis, the unsung star so far of this Super Serious Film Fest.
Yeah, also, I forget the exact role, but he was involved with Conan the Barbarian, which we covered.
Yeah, this guy is like this prolific dude that produced over 500 films of his career, 38 nominated, and it's not like you think, Army of Darkness, Conan, you think it's all gonna be schlock. 38 nominated for Academy Awards.
No, the rights they were fighting over were something prominent. What were they? I can't remember.
Is overhanded the
Hannibal
character
Lecter,
Hannibal Lecter.
Right.
Because then they later made Red Dragon and Hannibal. It's made U571, Dune, the Conan movies, just tons and tons of shit that this guy's, his money, his pocketbook is responsible for. Anyway. Yeah. Also, there's this often repeated piece of trivia about Sam Raimi using his 1970s Oldsmobile in all of his movies. Is it actually, do you know if this is actually the same car? Because I don't see, like, in the climax of this film, or not the climax, the beginning of this film, when he goes through the time warp with the car, they rented an 80-ton. Oh, first of all, they rented a 20-ton crane to lift the thing and drop it. I guess a gust of wind happened and knocked the crane over, and it fell into this like fucking ravine.
Good Lord.
Would have killed the crane operator except for he bailed out of the cab. So the next day they got an 80-ton crane to lift a 20-ton crane out of the.
Don't tell me that fell into.
The stone. No, and then dropped it. But like that, the car went through two of those experiences. How the fuck do you salvage anything from it?
I can't imagine this is like.
I mean, I imagine you could fix up anything, but this thing appeared in like apparently pristine condition in Spider-Man. It was Uncle Ben's personal wheels, so
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know whether he's just buying new ones or if he's just like has this built from the frame up every single time he destroys it.
Not sure.
It's got to be an expensive signature touch at this point.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's in a commentary somewhere. I'm sure during this movie they talk about it.
Yeah.
I think maybe the best line, as I mentioned before, is first you want to kill me, now you want to kiss me. He spits a grape out.
That's the thing,
and says, blow.
The spitting the grape out.
Prithee to forgive me, my lord. I believe thee one of Henry's men.
First you want to kill me, now you want to kiss me. Blow.
And it's perfect, perfect delivery.
Right.
Also, this priest to me comes across as not so much like afraid of the dead, more just like totally over him.
I think you're supposed to understand he's Merlin. So he's kind of a badass on his own right. And the king is Arthur. Yeah.
That's supposed to be Merlin. And that's Arthur? Jesus Christ.
Well, he's named Lord Arthur in the film. And I think this hint is like like he rides this crest of notoriety and defeating the dead and unifying the people into his
makes
career.
Him what he is.
Yeah.
Oh,
essentially.
Boy.
Essentially.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense in this parody
honestly,
of the film.
Finding out that he's kind of supposed to be the Merlin makes a lot of his attitude towards Bruce make sense.
Yeah, because after the horror of this witch coming to life and like fucking everybody up, nearly killing people, he steps into frame the moment that's over and is just like, okay, back on mission.
Not just steps, he like slides in like he's on a furniture dolly.
Yeah.
If the Necronomicon fell into the hands of the Deadites, all mankind will be consumed by this evil.
It's the popping out of like stage right equivalent of the stormtrooper standing up and saying, "Look, sir, droids!" Like
right.
he just bounces in. It's so funny. It's so funny.
Yeah. So the priest is one of the standout characters for me, and I recognize that actor. I know I've seen him in a lot of other things.
Yeah, I recognize the King Arthur guy too.
Name.
But like went and looked at his filmography and I'm like, I don't know. Some of these guys, I'm getting old enough that I feel like I'm starting to fall for lookalikes. Like I've seen this guy in a movie from 2015, but he looks exactly like he did in 1994. Oh shit, this is a different guy that just happens to look a lot like,
And the beginning of this movie sort of takes itself pretty seriously, right? I mean, all the stuff for recapping Evil Dead 2, it doesn't tell you about the ridiculous shit that happens other than cutting his hand off, which is inherently ridiculous.
Right.
But then, he comes into this situation. He's overwhelmed by it. He gets caught up in this feud that's going on between these troops. And I can pinpoint the moment where this movie puts a stamp on it and says, this is what we are. Mm-hmm. And it's the blood geyser. right?
Yeah,
Which is one of my favorite moments in the entire movie because it harkens back to Evil Dead 2 with the wall of blood. And like that is what I think of when I think of Evil Dead series.
Yeah, like there's
love it.
The human body doesn't contain like a blue fucking whale doesn't include. It doesn't have that much blood in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole sequence, and when he comes out and he's like, "All right," and he goes on this long haranguing speech to these primitive screwheads,
The boomstick speech that everyone knows.
which, by the way, I've seen this movie at least 12 times. The first time I noticed that he apparently conjures that boomstick from thin air.
I guess
He
so.
goes in the pit. He has the holster for it slung over his back. It's empty. Comes out of the pit empty. He's got his chainsaw. I mean, and then somehow King Arthur draws a sword to smite him, and it gets blown in half, and he's got the boomstick out.
Yeah, I wonder if it's a casualty of some of the cuts that they made to get this film
Could be. I
to
think
not be NC-17, which was its original rating.
right.
And the studio wanted it PG-13, and I think they eventually did 2 cuts, one which was like 81 minutes, PG-13, bullshit, and then 87-minute cut that was the rated R version.
Right. I do think that part of it is on the Visper thing is the movie just doesn't give a shit. Like they identify this as a double barrel shotgun that he shoots at 1.4 times without reloading, and it makes a between each shot like it's a pump action shotgun. So this movie is super fucked on its gun realism and physics, but
yeah,
again, it's also the movie where a guy with one hand is operating a chainsaw one hand, but there's no way for him to like do the trigger mechanism. Like, how the hell is he revving this fucking chainsaw?
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's the rule of cool, baby.
Yeah. Like when they fall, then this movie follows the rule of cool. It's pretty fucking cool. I also thought, like, just minor plot point. If you can fly a demon over a wall and snatch a girl, you can fly a demon over a wall and snatch a book.
That's true.
Does he only have one winged demon that's strong enough to carry a woman off in flight?
It seems like it, yeah.
Even then, that's almost enough to do it. Like, you tell me
I
this
would
thing
think so.
grabs its claws into that gate, it doesn't rip it off?
Yeah, and then it makes a second pass to actually grab the book. Sure.
Yeah.
I think it so...
Missed opportunity for catapulting dead things that would like hit the ground fighting. So maybe they didn't have the technology for that.
No, I question, like, where is the line between Ash versus Evil Ash, right? Is Ash actually a good tactician? It seems like he is, because he's got all of this ability to, he seems very smart, very intelligent.
Right.
He can make gunpowder, he can modify this car, he can make this hand.
Right.
All those things require ingenuity and a certain tactical mind in the defense of this castle.
Yeah.
Now, Evil Ash seems to be the worst parts of of good Ash, because he has none of this capability, right? Like, the best he can summon is a ramrod to take down the gate and a short bridge to get over the moat.
Right.
That's essentially the extent of his tactical abilities.
Well, but is it tactical or is it technological? Because he's got, like, good Ash has an entire functioning castle full of people with raw materials and, like, know-how. This guy's just got whatever he can pull out of the ground, right?
Yeah,
so like
literally.
maybe it's like, he couldn't, like, what is he going to make a siege engine out of? He can lash things together out of trees and stuff like that. But I mean, I think it's just the quality of his fighting forces is what the problem. Because these skeletons, I mean, they're not formidable foes, really.
No, they're not. They're flimsy minions.
One of the funniest scenes is, like, because you always have, like, we just watched one in Roma, for example, the scene where you just have masses of people, like, practicing with a bow staff, and they're doing like the, yas, twirl, parry, dodge. And then when they actually get to the fight scene, somehow that translates into marital prowess, right? Martial, not marital. God damn it!
It might. We didn't get to see that scene. It was cut for the rated R version.
You can use a staff. You can use a staff. But like most movies, like, you just understand that that's like training for war somehow. I love that the payoff to that is when the army of Deadites clash. It's the living army just doing those moves over and over and over again, and it's working. because they're just fucking skeletons. Like an animated skeleton is going to be about 20 pounds of brittle shit. Like, even if it can move around magically, like, yeah, they're not, the
funniest part about all that to me is Ash is a guy who works in a fucking supermarket.
Right.
He comes into this time period with apparently King Arthur.
Yeah.
Who should have some ability. I mean, he's trained troops, right? He has trained troops at his command.
Yeah.
Why aren't the troops training these other townsfolk to do the actual combat? Why is Ash involved with his 6th week karate class bullshit?
I think the idea is they established this in the beginning that like the Lord Henry and like all of the lords have been at war in this period, and it's like drained everyone's army, and that's like distracted them from the Deadite. It's very Game of Thrones. That's all established in like 2 lines of dialogue in the very beginning. So I think the idea is there's just not that many warriors left, which is why they're training.
But if you have even one, they're going to be more qualified than Ash is.
But everyone thinks Ash is king shit because he's like the chosen one. He's the warrior of warriors.
Unless he's got a basket of boomsticks, I don't know how he would really be able to do much.
Yeah, if you could gin up a bunch of chainsaws and boomsticks and have him train you, if you're talking about wooden sticks, then maybe the blacksmith probably could tell you more about how to do damage with that one of those than Ash could.
But, for the sake of the movie, you're right. I mean, everybody is deferring to Ash at this point because he's, like you said, king shit.
What do you think the future of Bruce Campbell is? Do you see him settling into like an Adam West type career where he was all he could work at an ironic level so well because he looks like he could be a distinguished actor. Like Adam West could come in and play like, whatever you want him to be. He could be the voice of the eccentric mayor of your town, or he could be an out-of-touch billionaire. He could, and it's always, oh, look, Adam West, haha. Bruce Campbell could do that for the next 30 years and be fine.
Yeah, and I think he has more than anybody, really, the potential to have that second stage comeback that would launch him into full stardom again. Like, I know, look, he's not, as good looking. He's not as slim or probably capable in the action department anymore, but if fucking Liam Neeson can do it,
Sean Connery's James Bond and a bunch of other kooky shit, and then he had this come out like Red October turned him into an international sex symbol, and he had another improbable decade of action movie star.
No, Bruce Campbell needs his entrapment, right?
Well, I think he needs his Red October before you give him his entrapment, but sure.
I think he could do an entrapment right now.
Right.
But yeah, I think Bruce Campbell is
You're the
right
man now, dog, is what he needs. He needs to teach
poetry
to a black kid in Harlem.
Yeah.
Or whatever that fucking
Forrester,
movie was.
Yeah. No, he needs to get on that because I think right now his
Q rating's
personal
up.
brand, his Q rating is as high as it's ever been.
Yeah, and it'll ever probably get unless there's another Evil Dead project coming down the pike.
Or something that he can do, like talk to fucking Sam Raimi, because he's still doing shit. He's more high profile than he's ever been. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping that something will come of Bruce Campbell's second stage career.
Like, if nothing else, if it's just like, beloved celebrity cameo status. Now that Stan Lee's dead, we could give it to Bruce.
Sure.
Just have him inexplicably in every Marvel movie, or
that would be weird, but yep.
Why not?
Every Spider-Man movie.
Is this your favorite? Because I go back and forth about whether I like this or Bubba Hotep more.
Oh, I'm an Evil Dead 2 kind of guy. Because
Bubba Hotep has got the similar kind of. I think it's a little bit more sophisticated, in its like slapstick and. But it's also more outlandish. Well, I don't know if it's more outlandish in its concept.
No,
like an evil undead Egyptian spirit haunting a retirement home that houses such celebrities as JFK and Elvis Presley. If you haven't seen it, and if you're Bruce Campbell, if you're a Bruce Campbell fan, you've fucking seen it,
right?
But if you're like a filthy casual high school, you like the Army of Darkness, haven't kept up with the man, I think Bubba Hotep is worth watching.
Yeah, I'm a weird hybrid. I've seen Bubba Hotep, but only once. Mm-hmm. Didn't care that much for it. I think like Army of Darkness will forever be my favorite Bruce Campbell project.
Yeah.
Just from a nostalgia point of view, I think Evil Dead 2 is a better movie.
Okay. Then Army of Darkness or Bubba Hotep?
Then Army of Darkness.
Okay.
I think
it does.
Evil Dead 2 is like the height of what Sam Raimi was actually going for when he started making movies, and then it turned into this. And I don't think it's bad. I think it's just different.
That's certainly what essentially Roger Ebert thought. He thought that Evil Dead 2 is the pinnacle, and that it went too far into the silly stuff. Which I totally. But on the other hand, I also think that the awesome highs of the Army of Darkness are slightly higher than the awesome highs of Evil Dead 2. But it doesn't have the like, what the fuck was what a grown man thinking doing this in this movie lows that the Army of Darkness has. Maybe that's part of its charm too.
It's not as schlocky in that kind of way. It's more of like a camp horror thing than it is, this slapstick weird comedy. Although it has its moments. I mean, Evil Dead 2 is not completely devoid of slapstick.
It does indeed. It does indeed have its moments.